This is the Moz 7 version 2. The Moz 7 is a beast of a drone that's purpose-built for long-range FPV. And if you want to fly long-range, or maybe get some cinematic FPV shots in challenging environments like a distant mountain peak or a windy coastline, these 7.5-inch props are more efficient so you can fly longer. They have a faster cruising speed so you can fly farther. And they produce more lift so you can carry full-size action cameras and heavier batteries. A while back, I did a full build and review video of the original Moz 7 with the DJI O3. It was my favorite long-range drone, and at the time I thought it was huge. I am super excited about this new version of the Moz 7 because GEPRC has made several changes. They've redesigned the frame, which now has these side braces and a new camera mounting system with the DJI O4. It now comes with an optional ELRS Gemini crossband receiver, which has a rear vertical mounted antenna. I have good old TBS Crossfire on mine. It now has more powerful 2809 1450 kV motors. It has an M1025 GPS unit and updated 3D prints all the way around. Is this the DJI O4 Pro long-range drone you've been waiting for? Or should you go with a frame kit and do a custom build? Either way, by the end of this video, you'll be in a better place to make an informed decision for yourself. There are timestamps in the video description, so feel free to jump around if you need to. All right, let's get into it. The drone comes in this huge box. I had to zoom my camera out just to fit it into the frame. On top, we've got two sets of props. These are HQ 7.5 by 3.7 by 3. We've got two boxes that have been sized to fit in between the arms of the drone. And in the first box, we get our accessories, including two Momoda 2 antennas. These do have SMA connectors. We get 4 battery straps, two 20 by 250 millimeter and two 20 by 300 millimeter straps. We do get 2 battery pads, one for the top plate and one for the bottom plate. They are super sticky. We do get 2 of those handy M5 GoPro bolts with locking nuts. We get loads of extra hardware and some useful tools like a prop wrench, some Allen keys, and a pin to reach that bind button, and a carbon fiber GEPRC keychain. In the second box, we get our documentation, including a quick start guide, a wiring diagram for your flight controller, a manual for the DJI O4 Pro, and a set of stickers. The drone is friction fitted into this cardboard liner, so it's super secure and well protected during shipment. This drone is beautiful when you see it in person. GEPRC really nailed it with the presentation on this one. The first thing you need to know about the new Moz 7 is that it's a complete redesign. They didn't just update the camera mount for DJI O4. GEPRC has made a list of improvements, but the major difference over the version 1 is that the frame is now larger and more robust, and the motors have been redesigned with a higher kV. That means the Moz 7 version 2 is a more capable drone that should be less prone to vibrations and therefore fly a little bit better, but it is a heavier build, and higher kV motors means it's going to be less efficient. I have the original Moz 7 next to this new version because I want you to see how much bigger this new version really is. The wheelbase is now 336 millimeters. It was 320 on the original Moz 7, so it is quite a bit larger. It has these side braces which reinforce the frame, but they do add weight. The arms are 6 millimeters thick. The top and bottom plates are 2.5 millimeters thick, and these plates that sandwich the arms in the front and rear are 3 millimeters thick. These side braces are also 6 millimeters thick, so they're massive. Just like the original Moz 7, we do have side plates to protect your electronics that make the drone look finished, and it gives it a premium feel. You do have these access hatches for your flight controller and the USB and SD card for your DJI O4. Just be careful not to lose these hatch covers when you remove them. They're very easy to misplace. Ask me how I know. Also, like the original Moz 7, we do have a built-in heatsink for our air unit with vents on the side and underneath. That built-in heatsink is a nice feature to have because when we talk about flying long range, that DJI O4 Pro is going to be recording high frame rate 4K footage for 10, 15, as much as 20 minutes at a time, and we can't have thermal shutdowns. We do have an anti-spark filter built into the drone to prevent those pops when you plug in your massive 6S batteries. This is a nice feature to have, and it's something you don't know you want until you have one, and supposedly it makes your electronics last longer. Your DJI O4 camera is soft mounted with these silicone inserts and protected with these aluminum side plates. Notice that these camera plates are longer than they are on the original Moz7. This could be to accommodate the DJI O4, which has a wider ultra-wide field of view than the DJI O3. The frame does have an H-shaped design, and so you won't see props in your FPV footage. There is an aluminum hood that not only protects your DJI O4 Pro camera, but it acts as a brace because the carbon doesn't come all the way forward like it does on the original Moz7. The camera mount also has a cool trick where you can swap the positions of the aluminum hood and the TPU GoPro mount as needed to adjust center of gravity when you're running a GoPro. I really liked the GoPro mount on the original Moz7 because it uses a carbon plate on top of the TPU so that your screws won't pull through that soft TPU material. It's too bad they didn't carry that feature over to version 2, but with the DJI O4 Pro, most pilots probably won't be running a GoPro anyway. The motors are now the 2809 1450 kV. They were 2809 1280 kV on the version 1. That extra kV does mean more power, but it also means a little bit less efficiency if you're not disciplined with the throttle. But I have to tell you guys, after testing this drone, if you look beyond just pure specs, I really like these motors. That higher kV pairs very well with these 7.5-inch props, making this drone a great long-range cruiser. The 3D prints are all new for version 2. This antenna mount is now farther forward. The landing feet have been extended, and I really like this because it keeps those massive 7.5-inch props away from the dirt and grass. The rear antenna mount has also been redesigned, and it's now much bigger and accommodates 3 SMA connectors. These 2 are for your VTX antenna, and this third one here is for a rear-mounted vertical antenna if you get the ELRS version. I don't have that antenna because I got the Crossfire version, but they still included that SMA extension, so I do have the option of installing a rear-mounted antenna if I want to add a diversity receiver in the future. The GPS mount has also been redesigned, and now you can angle it up or down as needed to fit your flying style. We do get a full-size M1025 GPS unit, and it gets satellites super fast. I rarely saw under 25, and I got as many as 31 satellites, so yeah, these GPS units have gotten very good. I don't fly long range unless I've got GPS rescue enabled and I'm logging my GPS coordinates into my radio, and that way if something goes wrong, GPS rescue will bring it home, or if I lose video feed for any reason, I'll still have my latest coordinates saved into my radio. If you want to know how to log GPS coordinates into your radio, just see my original Moz7 review where I walk you guys through that. And to show you guys why GPS is so critical, here's a thing that happened on my maiden flight with this drone. Well, the fog got so bad that I got completely disoriented and I literally didn't know where I was or where I was going. But with GPS, I still had my altitude, distance from home, and orientation. I activated GPS rescue and she came right back to me. I would say that flying into that fog bank was probably the dumbest thing I've done all week. But with GPS set up correctly, it wasn't a big deal at all and I recovered easily. It is 2025. All drones should have a reliable GPS unit, period. Our flight controller is GEPRC's Taker H743. It does have Bluetooth, so you can connect it to your phone and tune it in the field. It also has dual gyros with an MPU 6000 and an ICM 42688 gyro. It does have a 50 amp 4-in-1 ESC, and it is running a test version of BLHeli32, which GEPRC says has been extensively tested for safety and reliability. But you can flash AM32 if you want to. There is a massive 1000 microfarad capacitor, which I love to see, and I really like how it's held in place with this TPU part so the leads aren't stressed as the quad bounces around. We have an anti-spark filter installed back here. There is a buzzer which is held in place with the same TPU mount that holds the receiver. If you get the Crossfire receiver, the bind button is accessible, but you do have to remove the top plate and maybe this GoPro mount in order to access it right there. Even though I got Crossfire and I don't have that ELRS diversity receiver, I do have this SMA extension pre-installed, so I could install a diversity receiver in the future if I wanted to. GEPRC rated the original Moz7 at 700 grams. Mine weighs just a little bit more than that, 728 if I put on my battery straps, but mine is a custom build, so a little bit of variation is natural there. The Moz7 version 2, GEPRC rates at 750 grams, but as you can see, mine weighs quite a bit more. If I put on my 2 battery straps, I've got an ND filter, a bolt for the GoPro mount. This is how I'm gonna actually fly it, and it weighs in at 832 grams. So it is quite a bit heavier than the 750 grams they say on their website. GEPRC must have left out the battery straps, the battery pad, and who knows what else in order to hit that 750 gram weight. Choosing the right batteries for this drone is very important because it's so heavy and powerful that it really requires some massive batteries to perform as the designers intended. GEPRC recommends 3,300 milliamp lipos and 8,000 milliamp lithium ion packs. If you're more interested in long cinematic style flights, I highly recommend lithium ion batteries for long range flying because I think they're more predictable at the end of your flight. You do have to be more disciplined with the throttle to keep that amp draw low. And if you want to rip, you should fly lipos. I'm flying my Moz7 with these 3,700 milliamp lipo packs and a 6,000 milliamp lithium ion pack, which is actually 2 3,000 milliamp packs connected in parallel. I use a parallel cable to run 2 batteries at a time because it allows me to use the same packs on my 5-inch and 6-inch drones. I just double them up for my 7-inch long-range cruisers. So 2 1,800 milliamp packs would be the equivalent of a 3,600 milliamp pack. And these 2 3,000 milliamp lithium ion packs would be the equivalent of 1 6,000 milliamp pack. The disadvantage of running batteries in parallel is that you do have to mess around with an additional parallel cable, which does add potential points of failure. These massive packs that GEPRC recommends for this drone are a better choice if you can afford them. If you're wondering if your batteries will fit, we have 6.5 inches of usable space on the top plate up here. We are limited by the TPU structure in the back and the metal camera plate up front. My 3,700 milliamp pack fits on this top battery plate very easily, and that sticky battery pad works great, as you can see. And since this top plate is so wide, I can run 2 batteries side by side. There's plenty of space. I am using the longer 20 by 300 battery straps to go around those 2 batteries. All right, you guys, now it's time to head out to the mountains to do our test flights. I'm gonna take you guys to 2 locations. The first is an area where I feel safe doing my maiden flights to get a feel for how the quad flies and to confirm that GPS and everything else is set up correctly. Then I'll take you out to another location to get some more cinematic FPV shots up in the beautiful Andes Mountains where I live. First, here's my legal disclaimer for these medium range flights. I do not live in the United States. I do stay under 400 feet, and I have spotters at different locations to make sure I'm in compliance with drone rules at all times. My first impression flying the Moz7 is that this quad is super smooth and stable. With those huge props, it feels more like a glider. The cruising speed is very fast and it just covers ground very quickly. The higher kV motors do seem to pair very well with these props, and it doesn't feel heavy in the air, even with massive heavy batteries. It handles the weight just fine. I really want to emphasize to you guys how smooth this drone is. I'm going to show you some raw goggles DVR so you can see that there really weren't any vibrations, which means that you can count on usable gyro data from your DJI O4 Pro camera. And that makes this an ideal cinematic FPV platform that can carry any action camera no problem. After my maiden flight, I felt confident enough to take this drone a little bit further out, and it's ideal for long-range cruising. It's super stable in the air, which makes it a great filming rig for these cinematic FPV shots. And if you're disciplined with the throttle, you can get some nice long flight times.
GEPRC says that you can get 25 minutes on an 8,000 milliamp lithium ion pack. I don't have any of those packs, but on my 3,700 milliamp lipos, I was getting over 12 minutes, and on my 6,000 milliamp lithium ion pack, I flew for over 14 minutes and covered 14 kilometers. What I'm showing you guys here are real world flights. I'm not just flying in circles to get maximum flight times, so longer flights are definitely possible. I am flying at very high altitude, over 4,000 meters or 13,000 feet, and high elevation means less efficiency due to reduced air density, and there are strong winds on top of these mountain ridges. I did fly down the mountain, then up the mountain, which meant I did spend some time climbing, which does eat up your battery. Also, I really take care of my batteries, which means not charging them too high and not discharging them too low. I only charge my lithium ion pack up to 4.1 volts, even though these Luminaire nav packs are rated to 4.2 volts. I do this because these big lithium ion packs are expensive, especially if they have premium cells inside, and they will last much longer if you're gentle with them. As soon as I landed, I threw my batteries into a battery checker and it read over 3 volts, so I definitely could have flown another minute or two. If you're okay pushing your batteries a little farther, and if you're not flying on windy mountaintops, you can definitely count on a few extra minutes of flight time. If you are after maximum flight times, you should definitely consider some of GEPRC's massive packs that they make for this drone, especially that 8,000 milliamp lithium ion pack. It's an investment, but you do need huge batteries to take full advantage of this premium long-range drone. For me, where this drone really shines is as a cinematic cruiser. The DJI O4 Pro records exceptional quality footage. I usually record in D-Log-M and just throw on the official DJI LUT. I did use my GoPro 13 for some of these flights, but the Moz7 is so powerful you don't even notice the extra weight. And when it comes to weight, it is true that the more robust, reinforced, and heavy build of the Moz7 version 2 is costing us a little bit of flight time, but it is rock solid and really inspires confidence. Even in windy conditions, I can take my Moz7 out to a mountain peak and just send it, and it eats up the distance and laughs at the wind. Alright you guys, here's my conclusion on this drone. The Moz7 V2 could very well be the ultimate heavy-duty 7.5-inch long-range cruiser. GEPRC has made a ton of improvements over version 1. If you're just reading the spec sheet, you're probably saying, why did they make it heavier and less efficient? But if you step away from the specs for a minute, this drone just feels super solid. And when you hold it in your hand, you know where that extra 50 grams of carbon went. If you take the design as a whole, the larger, heavier, and more reinforced build does produce smoother and more stable vibration-free flights. I didn't get any vibrations on my FPV feed or in my footage, and a lot of people did report vibrations with the original Moz7. So I think GEPRC was really onto something by redesigning this as a heavy-duty 7.5-inch beast of a drone. If you're considering this drone, my advice is to think about where you're gonna fly it and what batteries you're gonna fly it with. Do you have a location in mind where you can take advantage of the fast cruising speed and long-range capabilities of this drone? And don't forget to budget some resources for some massive batteries. You really can't cheap out on batteries if you want this drone to perform as the designers intended. I don't think you'll be disappointed with the Moz7 version 2 because it is the most robust and capable DJI O4 Pro long-range drone on the market right now. What do you guys think of this drone? Are you happy with this larger, heavier build, or do you think GEPRC should have made it a little bit lighter? Let me know in a comment. I love talking FPV with you guys. If you decide that this drone is for you, or if you want to see prices, please do check out the links below. They are affiliate links which support my channel, but I do have a coupon that you guys can use to save a few bucks. All right, I'll see you in the next one.